Good evening. It is time to begin the Community Development Committee meeting. It is currently 6:11. Roll call, please.
Alderman Turner.
Aye. Here.
Chairman Rivera.
Here?
Alderman Florian.
Here.
Alderman Hayes.
Here.
Alderman Moiseo.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Item C, motion to approve the minutes of the Community Development Committee meeting of Tuesday, July the 6th, 2021. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Seconded.
I'll let them have it.
We have a motion and a second. Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Rivera. Chairman Rivera.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
Aye.
Alderman Hayes.
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo.
Aye.
And actually, who made the motion and the second?
Seconded by Hayes.
Okay,
Motion
so
by
motion by Florian, second by Hayes. Thank you very much.
Okay, number 2, audience time. There being none. Number 3, old business. There being none. Number 4, new business. Item A, motion to approve an ordinance amending Article 3 of Chapter 21 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Waukegan, Illinois, regarding residential disabled parking spaces, parking meters, and city-owned parking lots. May I have a first, please?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded.
Any questions?
Yeah, actually, I do have one. So, in thinking about the beach, right? On weekends, we have police officers down there collecting money for our people who are non-resident or don't have city stickers. And it's a bad optic, I think, to see a uniformed officer collecting money. And I'm wondering if this, when we go to these new parking meters, if there's a way to implement that at the beach, right? So you buy your parking ticket as you enter, much like you do at the train station. And then we have a code or a parking enforcement officer go down there periodically and look for the tickets, and if you didn't, then they get cited. Is that something that we can put on the radar?
Chief, what do you think?
He's so happy you asked him.
Yeah, he was talking to Commander Beach. Did you?
I think, here's a resident right now. No, I'm just kidding. You know what, there was no plan in the play. Two things. One thing, Alderman, just to let you know, that's not a uniformed police officer that collects the money down there. It's a parking, I mean, we looked at that a few years ago. I didn't like the optic either. Nothing worse than seeing a cop pull a wad of, $3,000 out of his pocket to do. No, that is one of our parking enforcement officers or one of the parking garage attendants that we have. So that one's taken care of. I don't know about putting the meters down at the beach. You already have, that's a question, right? How would I feel about having meters down at the beach? Yeah. I don't know that would be, I don't know if that would be so much the best for our residents and all that, feeding the meter and all that. Plus, I don't, how many more parking, I think, was there 1,000 parking spaces out there, 750? Yeah. You'd be talking about 750, 1,000 more meters.
No. I meant a meter at the entrance. Like when you go to the train station, you stop and buy your ticket.
Oh, okay, I follow you.
Yeah.
It's one of the things actually that's being looked at was that we were talking about a gate and a monitor, right? But the smart company that we're using, the smart meter company, exactly. I don't think that Rob, we just had that discussion. They don't do that, do they? The gates?
One of the company that we're using.
Step up to the microphone, please.
You're on the spot.
The company that we're using for the parking meter program, they are just now starting to get into the parking lot components of it. So one of the things that they're looking at doing is kind of like a LPR, license plate reader system. And what that would do would, anyone that had a city sticker, it would automatically register into that license plate reader. So when they would come through, it would almost be similar to the iPass where it would go, yes, they're good, they can just go through, no issue. Anybody who didn't, it would stop them and say, you need to pay some sort of a fee to do that.
Yeah.
I think when we we're in the discussions about the parking meters, what we were looking at doing is, let's get this one thing right.
Yeah.
And then let's see where we can expand from there, because they also have a system that could take care of our city stickers and how we do that. Instead of having them here, they could do it online. They could do it through this company. So they've got a lot of different features, but I think we wanted to kind of go kind of slowly. But it is definitely a possibility that they're working on with some of the other features that they have.
Great. Thank you very much.
Do we know how much revenue we get from the beach?
You know, I don't,
We do.
I know one Saturday I was down there. What big day was it? Maybe it was 4th of July. But anyway, I stopped and I asked the guys at the gate, and I says, how many cars in there, non-resident, no sticker? He said, probably about 300. So that's like $3,000 right there on a busy weekend, right? And some weekends it's got to be more. So
Some-
I don't know if there's a,
History lesson. Way back, 40, 60,000 a year, depending on the weather.
how much?
40, 60,000 a year. Now, another history lesson. We've gone back and forth. We used to charge 20. We used to charge, and we dropped it to 10. We talked about not charging. So this football, beach ball, has been batted back and forth. Actually, when I was running the beach as a beach director, way before I was an alderman, we had the same problem. I went to Chief Bridges in City Hall at the time, and that's how the fee got implemented. And we've, since then, and that's probably 30 years, the beach ball has just been batted back and forth about what do we charge. But $60,000 is, if you get $40,000 to $60,000 annually, that at least pays for the overtime probably. So it is significant.
It is significant.
Or at least the staff that you used to have down there, the rangers and whatnot. So that was at least, you were at least an offset.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm not sure of the beaches north to us, but the one south to us,
all the North Shore.
they
communities-
charge.
Well,
They charge
They're
big money.
private, or they're private.
Yeah, or they're private. And some of the communities actually have their residents get a beach parking sticker, to be specific.
so many of them don't have parking either. They
Yeah,
don't have any
yeah,
parking
yeah.
for anybody to go. I mean, we keep saying this. We have a jewel down there. We just have to enhance it. I mean, that's a discussion for further. If we could ever get things, rolling, we probably would get to the point maybe we didn't want to charge people to come. I don't know. That's a whole nother discussion item.
Well, and I've talked to some visitors that do pay the $10 a carload, and they can't believe how inexpensive it is to get
Right.
to our beach, and for $10, all the entertainment and they get and their kids get.
Well, and it's only the weekends that are charged, right?
Correct.
We used to, even going way back, we used to charge during the week.
During
Like
the
I
week.
said, Alderman Florian, this thing's been back and forth in every kind of which way, and so we need to, probably open that discussion up again and figure out what we want to do.
Okay, any other questions? May I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Chairman Rivera,
Aye.
Alderman Florian,
Aye.
Alderman Hayes, Alderman Moiseo.
Aye?
Recommendation passes.
Okay, thank you. Item B is motion to approve an ordinance amending Article 3 of Chapter 21 of the Code of Ordinances, City of Waukegan, Illinois, regarding alternate night parking regulations. May I have a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion.
May I have a second?
I'll make it. Doesn't matter. Sure.
Any questions?
Is this the new, it just seems like we change parking regulations about every 2 years.
This was only 2 months, or 6 months.
We don't even, we just don't have a good handle on this. I mean, the one thing that I've always tried to work to is no overnight parking from, let's say, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. But you have so many contingencies that would, there's legitimately people that have 5 cars, 5 drivers, and no driveway. where they put their cars. So how do we tease that out where you get special dispensations because you can park on the street?
Yeah.
We have some neighborhoods that they wouldn't need to park on the street. Other communities do it. Gurnee doesn't have any parking overnight. I think North Chicago even has it. We've talked we've talked about that for 20 years since I've been up here. I just don't, it just seems like we are just, and what I think we've done in doing all of this, we've just created confusion.
Oh, we have.
Hell, I don't even know what it is.
Well, and we just changed this, and now we're going to change it back. I
Right.
mean, we just changed it 6 months ago or so.
The change that's being proposed is from, I believe, April, in enforcement from November through April.
December 1st through April 30th.
But didn't Public Works specifically ask us to do year-round? Yes.
They did.
And was it helpful? I am not in favor of changing this. I think we should leave it the way it is. I know people are ticked off, I know people have gotten tickets, but now if we change it again,
We've caused more confusion.
yeah, I think we should just stick to this, and people just have to figure it out. I mean, I had one guy complain, well, I don't want to give people tickets because they're out of work. Well, if they're out of work, they have plenty of time to move their car.
Yeah,
But not any money.
this,
Well, then don't get a ticket. Move your car.
If you get confused, which is possible. See, there's a lot of dots on this and dominoes that, maybe, I would be in favor of not changing it, but I mean, and like I said, we've been doing this for 18 years. We can't come up with a solution on this.
there is no one single.
No, that's the
great
problem.
Solution, but as you said, Alderman Florian, we changed it back in November, October, started enforcing in November, but the change was this midnight to noon. We're not suggesting that we eliminate alternate parking. We're just saying that it doesn't make sense to have alternate parking in the summertime. In July and August, they're not pushing snow around. And that's the relevance that these guys, the Public Works, needs to be able to move the snow. Now, there's always going to be the issue, two other issues, in that if a car doesn't move, then maybe the leaves don't get picked up or the garbage doesn't get collected.
Or your mail doesn't get picked up?
You're not going to find a solution, one solution for everyone, but right now we're saying that all the time you only have half a day. From midnight to noon, you can't park in front of your house every other day. Right now we have people.
But you can park right across the street. It's not like we're saying you can't park in the street. We're just saying you can't park on your
So
side.
when we have people, and especially elderly, whatever, it doesn't matter how old they are, but we'll have someone that has a single car driveway or garage, right? And they have a serviceman come, say it's a plumber, and they need to get into that driveway. So the resident moves their car out onto the street at 10:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, 11:30 in the morning, and they come out half an hour later and they've got a ticket. That's not right.
They
And
could have
it's
parked on the other side, though. I mean,
Ma'am, it's impacting the residents who we serve and represent. And there's no necessity for it in the summer months. Also,
But there is.
let
They asked for it for leaf removal, street sweeping, and to make it consistent, so people just get used to it.
Right.
So I disagree that there's not a reason for it, and it impacts our residents if they don't get their leaves picked up. I get more calls about that than any damn thing I've gotten called about since I became an alderman. Leaves are important. I can tell you that, at least in my
they
ward.
don't pick up leaves every day. They don't pick up leaves all year. They pick
No,
up
but
leaves.
if you miss your leaf pickup, you're screwed till the next time they come, which might be 2 weeks later.
You call for a special pickup.
No, they don't do that.
So for someone who doesn't get their leaves picked up, we're going to impact the whole city of 100,000 people.
What about emergency vehicles? Is there a health and safety concern? Can the fire trucks get down the street?
That's another thing.
That's year-round.
They've been doing it for years. They get down the street.
I think the greatest service we can provide is continuity, uniformity, consistency, and pulling a switcheroo on residents halfway through the year, no matter how well-intentioned it may be. How are we going to communicate that to them? How are we going to roll it out? I think we have a notice issue
Right.
that's going to implicate a lot of people. And I think ultimately it's about expectations. And if we can just set expectations and say, hey, for better or for worse,
Right.
this is this is the rule and it's year-round.
So one of the big complaints that I hear consistently is nobody knows. There's no signs. How do we know what's going on? And what was brought to my attention is, and I think it's a great consideration, is we don't have a local news channel here, right? Everyone gets the Chicago news, and Chicago has that policy, and they promote it through the news and public services announcements and however. So if you're paying attention to the news, you're going to hear, and it's going to be a consistent message. So you don't say, oh, I just heard on the news on Channel 2 that it's from December to April, but you're giving me a ticket in June, right? So there's a lack of consistency, and it's an opportunity for us to have some level of consistency with what's being.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to
I'm sorry.
ask Alderman Newsome and then Alderman Mosio.
I think Mayor and Alderman Moiseo can speak to this, but this ordinance has been on the books since the 80s. There are signs entering the city of Waukegan that there's alternate parking in effect. We don't enforce it. That's the problem. We keep changing it. We enforce it in the wintertime. We don't enforce it in the spring or the summer, so people get laxed. They don't know when you're going to give them a parking ticket for alternate parking. I'm not in favor of switching it halfway the year. We need to be consistent with this. That's the only way you're going to get compliance, is to be consistent. They'll get used to it sooner if you put this in effect and enforce it. I think the officers can use some type of discretion if they see a utility vehicle sitting on the street, or if I have a maintenance person coming to my house and I need to move my car, I need to know that I need to park across the street, not in front of my house.
How are you going to tell all the residents that?
All the residents, that if they've been in Waukegan for any length of time, they know that alternate parking is in effect. The fact that we changed it from 6 a.m. to noon is the part that they're not aware of. But we can put that message out there just like we did 12 a.m. to 6, and then we switched it from 6 to 7 a.m. It's been switched so many times. So, hey, 12 p.m. to 12 noon, that should be it, all year long, and leave it like it is.
Thank you, Alderman Newsome. Alderman Mosio.
Yeah, our parking is more confusing than a U.S. tax code, for Christ's sake. And it's nobody's fault. It's just we've all of us up here have tried to appease and cajole and do all that. I've sort of put my teacher's hat on, and it's not what I know. It's what I can get my students to know. And we have sort of failed miserably at that. And again, that's not anybody's fault because we've tried to appease too many people. I think we keep it the way it is for now. I think this had some merit to maybe, but as we can see, it's got some confusion. I think we keep it like this for now. Going forward, maybe gradually, I would like to. I mean, I've been here 18 years. I don't know if I'll get it done. I'd like to get to know parking on the street, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. That would help tremendously. But there again, we got all these situations. I know Alderman Turner. I got people in my ward that have a small driveway and 6 cars. So what's going to happen? Commander Beach got to run around and get all these special dispensations to people? I mean, it just could just start spinning out of control. Yeah. I just thought of something now. This could be not the best idea, but maybe we just go to certain zones in the city. The newer parts of the city probably have a big enough driveway. Alderman Turner, parts of your ward, no way. Alderman Bolton's ward, no way. The older parts of town they don't have long drives. Some of them do.
Right.
So I mean, is it maybe we go by zone, by neighborhood? But then now you got your patrolman calling back. Is Zone 4 got the white parking? And we got everybody confused.
Yeah, it's even more confusing.
So, as you can see, this is a confusing issue. I would say we just leave it the way it is right now. Alderman Turner, this has some merit. I don't know how again, officer has to have discretion. He pulls up on a house. He sees the plumbing thing in the driveway, and he sees a car on the wrong side of the street. Just a little judgment, Now, if that car's been there for a week, that's different.
And how do
Hasn't
you
moved.
know? And how do you know if it has been there for
It's
a
true.
week if
That's,
there's not
well,
alternate parking?
Again, that's a whole nother problem. And but let's be honest. In the present state we're in now, parking enforcement is way down the list. Way down the list, in my opinion. I think we all know that. I mean, the officers are running from call to call. They don't always have time to.
Well, that's one of the other complaints we get is it's not being enforced regardless.
When it's low on the totem pole, which in my opinion it should be at this point in our social, when you got everything else going on. So I would say we just leave it as is and revisit it later and maybe go from there. So I don't know if we want to just vote this down or, I mean, what, Corporation Council, do we have to vote it? Is this on the agenda? Or can we just?
Well, so right now, there was a motion and a second to approve basically as proposed.
Okay.
And the ordinance that was proposed was forwarded by the police department without really a recommendation. They just said, can you please give us guidance? So, I think what would be appropriate is if the consensus is to not make any changes at this time, would be that the original motion, if the mover and the seconder agree, would be to withdraw that motion and then have a new motion to basically leave things as is, if that's the consensus of the committee.
Okay.
I just think that's my opinion. I think that's the best going forward.
And we would like to hear from Alderman Bolton. You had your hand up?
Yes, I just wanted to validate. I totally agree with everything that's been said. The vehicle, our police and fire trucks can't get down the street with all these time changes. We definitely need to be consistent, because when we're consistent, then we make a change. And I like what Alderman Newsom said. That's so true. It's just, all I can do is echo the same thing that's already been said. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Kirkwood?
I feel the same way in terms of changing. I think our constituents need to get used to one certain thing, and then also with the support of the police to enforce it. And then let's see how it works out, because there's always going to be some nuance there, but consistency is something that we have to work on, in the city.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Seeger? You had your hand up? No? Okay. Any other comments? Okay, well, basically what I'm hearing is that we want to leave it the same, but the issue would be the communication to the citizens. So I think that's really the part that we need to work on. So on council's recommendation, we will.
Well, first, Alderman Turner, are you comfortable withdrawing your original motion?
No, I'd like to call a vote.
Okay. So you have a motion, and then there was a second by Moiseo.
Sure. If we want to call the vote, it doesn't, either way, we'll call the vote. Doesn't matter.
Okay. So this is to
Approve as presented.
yeah, this is approve as presented, which
Okay.
would add
Leave B.
which would basically add a different set of regulations
I'm going to vote it down.
for spring, summer, and fall, and then a different set of regulations for winter.
Correct.
So,
We'll take a vote.
yep. Alderman Turner,
Aye.
Alderman Rivera.
Aye.
Okay, to recommend as presented.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
I normally don't do that, but I just want to make sure.
I'm sorry. I'm confused.
Alderman Florian.
No.
It's all confusing.
Alderman Hayes.
No.
Alderman Moiseo.
No.
And under Robert's Rules, point of procedure, you can vote against a motion that you second. You're not supposed to vote against a motion that you actually made, but you can do it anyway. But.
So you got confused.
Okay. So
So that motion fails, and the consensus I think that we heard was that to leave things as is, and that can be reported out of committee at the full meeting later tonight.
okay. Thank you. Okay. The next item is item C. And thank you everyone for that discussion. That was good. Okay. Item C. Motion to adopt a resolution approving an agreement with Constellation New Energy Incorporated for the supply of electricity for city-owned water distribution locations. May I have a first and a second, and then I'll take questions?
I'll motion.
Second.
Any questions? Concerns? Roll call, please.
Alderman Turner?
Aye.
Chair Rivera?
Aye.
Alderman Florian?
Aye.
Alderman Hayes?
Aye.
Alderman Moiseo?
Aye.
Motion passes. It will be recommended to the City Council.
Thank you. Okay, item number 5, reports and communications. There being none, we will move to item 6, which is adjournment.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
And
sir.
the meeting ended at
6:38.
6:38?